Why, hello there, and welcome to Two Dudes on the Radio.
Where the world is crazy, but luckily, so are we.
I'm Eddie Boyce.
I'm Shaner.
All right, well, there's a little problem with our recording. We're recording this a little after. Adobe Audition was having problems today in the studio, so I cut out a little bit. We did get the majority of the show, though. We just lost like the first 5 minutes, so we're going to catch up what's happening. We are currently in our segment of your questions, and we're answering the question from Megan Chamberlain. If there's an animal that you could, how do they phrase it?
Remove from the world.
Remove from the world, what would it be? And her answer was emus, because they're terrifying. So before Shaner gave his answer, which was...
If I had to pick a mammal, wolves. If not, spiders. They're terrifying. They don't need to exist.
Okay, fair enough. And right now, I am about to give my answer. So thank you everyone for your patience, and we will have quality in the future.
Me? I don't... See, okay, here's the thing. I'm assuming this isn't, like, taking into account that if we take any animal out of, like...
Yes, assume the
the
world will go on the
ecosystem.
way it is.
Yeah.
If you remove this animal.
I don't know, there isn't really an animal that I especially hate. But if I had to choose one, it'd probably be something like gnats.
Gnats
Just let
is
me-
in the little
let-
flying bugs.
Yes, gnats. As in little flying bugs. And there's a reason for this. So I've worked out. I've done like landscaping, like a bunch of like farm work alongside of that, and gnats are like the number one worst thing to ever come upon you in that situation. They're pretty bad.
Not even mosquitoes.
At least
Gnats are
some-
just a weird. I've never been bugged by a gnat to the point of me wanting to like
but
remove them from the world. But a mosquito or like anything else, but a gnat or like leeches maybe, or what are those little bugs that hang out on trash? Little disgusting worm things.
maggots.
That would
But
be my
maggots
second
don't-
choice under spiders. Maggots.
Maggots don't bother you.
They're
They just-
disgusting.
they are. Hey, some people eat them as a source of protein. Don't hate
To
on the
those
source of
people,
protein.
stop eating maggots. If you're one of these listeners and you're eating maggots for protein, there are plenty of other places to find protein. I
Well-
don't know why you'd eat a maggot.
Okay. All right, Shaner.
You can yell at me
That's
all
how
you
you
want
roll
if you eat maggots. I will not support it.
Okay.
That's disgusting.
All right.
I'm very, very opinionated.
I didn't realize you hated maggots so much.
Until you've seen them on your trash, it's disgusting. Horribly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Now, if you had to pick a mammal, like an actual animal, let's eliminate bugs. Like I eliminated spiders and
Hold
went
on.
with wolves.
I gotta go back to the mosquito.
Oh wait,
Because like
mosquitoes.
at least with mosquitoes, I can like smack them and they'll die. Gnats, you can't get rid of them. They're like sand. Like if you get rid of one, then a bunch more is gonna come. And
I
even
can
if
see that.
they're super annoying.
Now, if you had to pick a mammal,
An animal or a mammal?
let's go with specifically something that isn't a bug.
Okay. Now that's easier.
'Cause I feel like you could count spiders and bugs in a whole separate category.
A mammal.
But if you had to pick an animal, like Megan picked the emu, what would it be?
Hmm.
Doesn't even have to be an animal you hate,
Emus
just one that
technically are
annoys
birds.
you.
Yeah, emus are technically birds. They're not mammals. But I know what you're getting. I know what you're getting at. Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I get what you're saying about the wolves, but like, why then not get rid of bears?
I feel like I could outrun a bear. Not to sound confident, but if I had to choose whether I could outrun a bear or a wolf, I'd pit my odds against outrunning the bear.
Okay.
A wolf would be, they travel in packs. Their howling can be scary in the right situations.
Mm-hmm.
You don't often hear about werebears. You hear about werewolves.
Bear.
There's a reason for that. Wolves are terrifying.
Okay.
Beautiful animals, but terrifying.
I mean, all right. I can appreciate that, man. But like, I don't know. I don't particularly hate any mammal. I'm trying to think of an annoying thing like raccoons or like groundhogs. I don't.
Yeah, if I had to pick another mammal, it would be possums.
They just play dead though.
No, they don't. They hide in your trash and they wait for you to come out at midnight and throw away a trash bag. Then they stare up at you with their cold, dead eyes. Have you ever tried to grab a possum?
No, I don't try and grab wild
It's horrendously
animals.
awful. Even with a big pair of welding gloves.
Why would you pick it up? Just get a shovel.
What makes you think a shovel would work?
Well, you're trying to pick it up, so just like,
Yeah, it'll run off the shovel.
oh, you're trying to pick it up alive.
Yes, sorry.
Oh,
a live
oh.
possum. Because while I hate them, I don't want to kill them. I just need to get them out of my trash. Because until you've cleaned up trash that's been sitting there for a week, you don't know what it's like to deal with it. Live possums, they're terrifying.
I've never actually. I've seen a live possum, but it's never bothered me. Like they've always been like dead in the road. No,
You've
actually,
seen a live possum that's dead in the road. That was your
no.
statement.
I've seen a live possum, but mostly I've seen them
Oh,
down the road.
okay.
Sorry,
I got
obviously
you now.
not wrong. Actually, I think there is a mammal. So, gosh, what are they called?
Describe them.
Well, I was gonna say red-tailed hawk, but they're actually kind of pretty, because like my family used to raise chickens and they nap chickens.
Really?
But, like,
Swoop down and grab them?
oh yeah, just grab them, kill them, drag them away.
wow,
red-tailed
that's
hawks, yeah.
impressive. Like baby chickens or full size?
Oh no, full-size chickens.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's scary, but at the same time, I kind of want to see that.
I mean,
Did you ever see it happen? Or did you just know it happened? Like, did you ever get to witness that?
Trying to remember. I know members of my family have, but I don't think I've seen it firsthand. And you can kind of you can tell when like they're circling around and like or like perched in a tree, and that's when you can kind of tell they're coming. But most of the time they either get in the daylight, and foxes are more of an issue than red-tailed hawks. But again, foxes are foxes. Like they're pretty nice.
All right, so Eddie does not hate any animals.
Well, yeah, I'm not. You know what? I'm gonna say stray dogs.
Stray dogs.
Not just dogs in general, just stray dogs, because you don't know what's going on with them, and no, they're
Okay.
like wolves with more diseases. I feel.
I can see that.
I could be wrong, terribly wrong about that, but
Now let me move on to my next question before our segment's over. This question comes courtesy of Clay Bauer, a fellow biblical ministries major, and he asks me this question.
thanks, Claire or Clay. Sorry, Clay.
We know Jesus could walk on water. It's an
Oh.
explicit fact, correct?
Okay, right? Yes.
Now Clay asks, if Jesus were standing on a moving stream, would he stay in place or would he ride the stream down just by standing on it?
I feel like he could do whatever he wanted because he walked on water while there was a storm going on.
Mhm.
So like the waves are moving and stuff forward
But it
and
doesn't
backward.
record whether or not he was, riding up the waves and then back down, or if he was just like standing in the midst of it. I think it says in the midst of the waters, but it doesn't record whether or not the water affected him. So it's kind of like if you're standing on a moving carpet at the airport,
I love
one of those moving floors where you kind of get carried along like an escalator.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the water would carry him down in a neutral state without him trying to stay in one place? Do you think he would get carried down by the stream, or do you think he would stay in place?
I think he could do whatever he wanted. I mean,
that's a fair point.
why not?
Breaking news: Jesus can do whatever he
He
wants.
wants. I mean, like really, like what else? Like, I don't see why not. I don't see why not.
That's
So,
a fair point.
all right, I think that's enough for that. It's like we covered a good amount of time. Oh, what did you think about that? Because you kind of asked me, but you didn't answer yourself. You are the biblical ministry studies major.
I like
after
your
all.
answer. I like Jesus could do whatever he wanted.
Yeah,
I figured he could get carried down the stream if he wanted, but he doesn't have to.
yeah. He's Jesus.
He is Jesus.
He is
And again,
Jesus.
breaking news: Jesus can do whatever he wants. You know?
That's facts. Okay. We're ready to move on to the next segment.
Let's do it.
All right. By the way, our student of the week is Jessica Oakes. Congrats. Moving on. Our segment, A Hole in the Wall, where I guess we didn't describe what your questions was.
That's
again.
it's kind of obvious.
It is kind of obvious. Anyway, so A Hole in the Wall is where I will look up a business. Well, it'll probably be me. But so I'll look up a business that is not exactly the kind of business you'd like buy from, and we'll just go over it. And today, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what to call this. And I'm not
Does it have a name?
Well, no. It has a name, but I don't know what category to put this because it's technically not a business. I think it's more like a it's how do I put this? I don't know. It's hard to explain. I keep trying to think of ways to describe it. I can never.
Let's just
fully
get into it.
Yeah, so let
See
me
what I
get
think.
into it, and I'll think of a word. So this website is called "This Is Why I'm Broke."
Oh yes, I used to love that website.
Oh, you know it.
Oh yes, of course.
Oh,
It's an
okay.
amazing website.
All right. So, how would you describe it then?
I would describe it as a place you go to look at all the stuff you'd never buy, and it's
true.
cool stuff.
But it's not their products. It's like other people's products that they
So I would call it
advertise.
like an Amazon.com for crazy expensive stupid things.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. So let me really. So when you
Or
go
like
on
a catalog. That's the best way to put it.
catalog.
A catalog of stupid, crazy, expensive stuff that you
Yeah.
want but will never buy.
So let me walk you through this website. So when you first get on here, you're going to be kind of thrown into this page where it's just like a list of items. Okay. And I think they're automatically sorted under popular, but you can basically scroll down. I think infinitely. Or no, not. Oh no, it is. Infinitely.
I think it's infinite.
It is infinitely, but on the top, it's going to have a bunch of different segments. So what's new, gifts by recipient, gifts by occasion, gifts by category, and more categories. So basically, if you're looking for a really weird gift, this is the place to go because it'll give you a bunch of suggestions. What kind of suggestions are here, may I, or do you ask? Well, the top right now of the popularity is the Odyssey 800 8-person family tent.
8-person? That
Mhm.
sounds like a pretty big tent. I mean, I have a pretty big family. We have some pretty big tents.
So this thing, it's actually found on Amazon. I clicked on it. It's for Amazon. It comes with blow up couches. It's big enough for couches, and it looks like there's like a little main area in the middle, and then to the right and to the left are kind of like where the bedding is, and then somewhere in between that's the door.
Okay,
Or not
so
so
it's like
the
a
pictures.
okay. It sounds like it'd be great for like a fun outing with friends.
Yes,
That sounds amazing. So it could fit up to 8 people. You said.
8-person family tent.
I feel like those are just suggestions. I feel like if you wanted to,
Probably.
you could probably fit like 10.
Oh yeah, if you look at the picture here, like I said, there's like blow up couches. You could stick like a person on each couch. There's like the ground. You could easily stick like 12 people in this thing, as long as they don't mind not sleeping on the floor. Or they don't, yeah. So I think this is my favorite product that I've seen, and it's right next to the 8-person family tent. It's the No Phone Air. Let me read you this description. Cure your smartphone addiction by upgrading your expensive phone to the No Phone Air. This cost-efficient model comes with an impressive 0 GB storage capacity and an impossibly thin, lightweight design that makes it feel as though you're not even holding a phone. The prop is a phone as a hand not holding any phones. So
Wow.
yeah,
I mean,
it's-
I'm convinced.
I know.
Whoever took
right?
that must have like gone to college for marketing.
Brilliant idea.
It's a thing everyone needs. I mean, I think everyone's got a smartphone addiction. So if we just order this, epidemic solved.
Epidemic solved. So I'm just gonna run through a bunch of these. So next item that really came out: nuclear explosion lamp. It is a lamp that is in the shape of a nuclear explosion. Bring a warm apocalyptic glow to your home by lighting the room with this eye-popping nuclear explosion lamp. Incredibly styled to look like a nuclear explosion. I get it. This pint-sized mushroom cloud lets off a warm amber glow, perfect for creating an inviting environment.
For all you fans out there of nuclear warfare,
There you go. If you're trying to have like a D&D session and you're trying to recreate I guess there is no Fallout in D&D, but hey, if you're setting it out in Fallout, there you go. That's a prop. Let's see what else. Let's go over some of these categories here and like what are some of these sites this website's pulling from. So for the No Phone Air, which I didn't look at all of these. Oh, that's also an Amazon product. Wow, I didn't know that actually. I didn't click on that one. Are these all on Amazon? I thought there were a couple that were not. Oh, this is the nuclear explosion. Oh, sorry. This is the full name of it. Nuclear explosion bomb diorama model light night lamp nuke fallout little boy fat man decorative military mushroom cloud.
Wow, it sounds like they were trying to get up the word count.
They're trying to fit all the categories. When you search for it, it would pop up. But no, this is on Etsy, and it sells for $146.95.
A small price to pay for that warm nuclear glow.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this looks very much legit. It looks like, I mean, if I had to guess how they made it, it looks like someone took a light bulb, put something around it, and then put a bunch of different colored cotton all around it to kind of make like clouds. And
I've
make
seen
it
things
so that
like
the
it.
light. Yeah, it's very here. Hold on, I guess I can show you if I turn it around. But
Oh, that
that's
is a
what it
very
looks-
nice effect. That
Yeah.
was not quite what I was expecting.
oh yeah, it looks very convincing. Though I'm sure that they made it look better.
It looks more like a set piece than an actual lamp. Like I wouldn't use that to light my living room. But where I just set up a diorama of a bomb going off, that would be what I would use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think most of the things on this list are Amazon and Etsy. Oh, here we go. Everything I Want to Do is a legal book. Learn about what you're actually putting into your mouth with a humorous and educational Everything I Want to Do is a legal book. This informative read illustrates how bureaucrats control the food industry, favoring industrial global corporate food systems.
That sounds incredibly boring.
That sounds, but it's okay. So the art on it is actually like a child's book art. It's not one in the middle there.
You know, this website I feel like has changed a lot. Back when I used to use this website, it was full of like actually like that's why I'm broke things, like, you know, cars that made no sense because they were so cool. Like it was actually stuff you would never ever buy, but it was super cool. Like I feel like now it's just become another catalog website.
I mean, I
From
don't
what I can
know.
see.
Is
there a way to search
Yeah.
maybe the most expensive item?
I actually saw this by accident. There was actually a House by the Caribbean that was like well over like I think it was like 12 million. It was pretty. Oh, here we go. Price range. We want high to low. That didn't work. Hold on. Oh, to $20. I see. Okay. So how does one? We'll go with 50. Add a bunch of zeros and go with it. Okay. Hadal Underwater Exploration System
See, that's what I'm talking
for
about.
48. Oh, sorry, not million. No, that is million. $48 million and 200,000. Sorry, $48,200,000.
See, that's the kind of stuff I remember being on there. This used to be a family pastime for my family. My dad would log onto the computer and we would sit there for at least an hour just enjoying all the products that came up. And man, you'd see some great stuff.
You can purchase an Olivia super yacht.
A yacht.
A yacht. Let's go under one of these categories, shall we? Should we do, let's see, Shannon, you pick. What's new, gifts by recipient, gifts by occasion, gifts by category, or more categories?
Let's go with what's new. I want to know what's new.
All right, cool. What's new? That's nothing under that, so let's go with it. Oh, here we go. Sea of Dreams Cayman Estate. This is what I was talking about. $29 million. You're
Wow.
looking for total isolation in the lap of luxury. You'll find it at the Sea of Dreams Cayman Estate. This sprawling and what's that word? Paradisiacal. I'm going to assume that's what it is. Estate boasts a main house comprised of 3 separate conjoined buildings, each with a stunning view of the unspoiled Caribbean beach. I think that's what
Wow.
goes with it. That's the newest item on the top. There's like a phone. There's a personalized puzzles.
Personalized puzzles.
Yes, I will say before I continue that there's a good amount of inappropriate projects.
There is. I remember that.
Products on here, so just be forewarned. Nothing like the images aren't graphic, but like
Yeah, I
just
remember scrolling through and seeing things and being like, why would you buy that?
yeah.
I don't know.
So just be warned when you're looking through. Don't look at this with your 10-year-old brother or sister or whatever. Anyways, the Hocus Pocus candle. Help create a magical evening by lighting up this Hocus Pocus candle with some added ambience. This 100% soy wax candle features a unique and potent scent It smells like witch's brew, the fat of a hanged man and virgins.
Wow.
You know, I'm good.
I don't know
was
what kind of
expecting-
ambience you're expecting there, but
I was expecting like, oh, toads and
hey, honey,
stew.
it's a great evening. Let me just set the mood with this candle. Smells like witch's brew. How much is that candle? Curiosity.
$16.
$16 to set the mood?
And I'm going to assume this is on Etsy. This is on Etsy.
I mean, what else? What more do you need?
I'm kind of scared of what else this person's producing, so we're just going to move on with my life. Movie prop money. It looks like there's 4 stacks.
It's kind of impressive how much they want for movie money. How much money would it cost? to buy 4
$35.
stacks? $35.
But it looks like 4 stacks. It looks like a lot.
So it's $35 for probably the movie equivalent of like, let's say, let's go with a rough number of $200.
Do you not know what stacks means?
A lot of money.
Okay, so like
Sorry, I'm not familiar with all the money terms. For I'm not a banker,
it's a lot of money.
nor am I a gangster.
This is like well over millions. When I we're talking
$35 for well
stacks.
over $1 million. I mean, it's a great deal.
It's a great deal. Can't beat it. Let's see. Austin Martin 007 edition. There's no price with that one. Let's see. Redwood Forest Rail Bike Tours. That's not actually a product. That's a service, but we'll go with it. So as you can see, there's a bunch of different products on here. Oh, this is interesting. Back to the Future VHS Lite.
Light L-I-T-E or light L-I-G-H-T?
Just light, like as in it is a literal light.
Ooh,
Is a VHS with light bulbs.
that's
in it.
unique.
It is unique.
If you really like Back to the Future and you really like VHS tapes, if those are your two niches, then that's for you.
Yeah. So imagine like a VH tape with like a Back to Future like artwork on like the middle where you would see the label, and then like the clear plastic which shows like the wheels. I think they were
Reels.
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 Yeah, I guess reels. Yeah. Or like similarly shaped light bulbs. So it looks pretty good, and it shows like a light blue. I mean, you could change it. All right, I think I think we went over that pretty well.
All right, yeah.
Is there anything else? I don't know. You apparently have been on this website before.
It's been a long time since I've been on that website. A
I-
long time.
I'm not gonna lie. I found this today, actually,
But I'm
by
glad
accident.
you found it because I totally forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna go with like something with like lonely products, and I was gonna look for a business that only sold like lonely people product. But this was a lot better.
And that candle sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I know what you're getting for your birthday.
Let's see. Let's go with the dads. Oh, this is an article. I don't want an article. Oh no, here we go. It's an article, but it has stuff. The Book of Unusual Knowledge for $12. Lazy Day Outdoor Hammock. Okay. Exotic beef jerky sticks.
Ooh, exotic. What does it mean by exotic? Exotic meats like bison or...
Don't be a jerk and deprive your father of dried meat. Order him a set of 10 exotically flavored jerky sticks. These aren't your average gas station jerky sticks. He'll get to choose from ostrich, kangaroo, and elk, to name a
Ooh.
few.
I would have to go with either ostrich or elk. I don't think kangaroo would be good, but, I think ostrich or elk would be really good.
Hey Megan, I think we found out how to eradicate those emus. You'd be set for life. You ready for this? A handmade miniature of your dad's house.
Whoa.
I mean, it's about twice the size. It's like it's like 2 or 3 fists is the size of this
I
miniature.
mean, what dad doesn't want a miniature of his own house?
If that's what you want, I guess. All right. So that sums up This Is Why I'm Broke. I'll be posting about this later in the week. Tell us what you liked about it and what you'll be buying. Like I said, just be careful when you go on the site with who you're going to go with. But overall, it looks like a pretty cool site. I might come back here to get unusual gifts because I'm always looking for like random gifts.
Yeah, I know you're getting that candle for your birthday now.
Yeah, it's going to be you. It's going to be your wedding present.
Wow. I mean, hey,
Gotta set the mood.
gotta have
somehow.
candles.
Gotta have candles. Okay. I'm actually not a huge candle person. Holly likes candles a lot. She's a candle person, but I'm not. Oh, by occasions like Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's for her, Valentine's for him, anniversary for her, anniversary for him, white elephant, graduation, dad's birthday, groomsmen, bridesmen, housewarming, Stocking stuffers for boys, stocking stuffers for men, stocking stuffers for women. They've got the extensive
It
list.
sounds
here.
like you can get
So
whatever you need.
They got a lot of those categories covered. All right, we're gonna move on to our next segment. If I can pull up mine.
But first, our sponsor.
our sponsor. What is our possible sponsor of the week, Shaner?
It's important to note that this week's possible sponsor is the country of Bolivia. We know they have enough
Wow.
money. They're a whole country. A
That's-
small donation would be amazing.
Listen.
I would hang your flag in my dorm room if you donated money to this show. That's
I-
my offer to Bolivia.
I would put your flag on our banner, or like no, I change our show colors to the Bolivian flag colors. That's what we do.
So Bolivia, if you're out there, if there's anyone from Bolivia listening, talk to your government.
Yes, talk to your government. We can make this happen, folks. Maybe. Where's Bolivia? That's like near Latvia and Estonia, right?
Probably.
Bolivia.
I'm not a geography major.
Okay, hold on. I gotta look this up now. We're alienating our guests and listeners, Shaner. Bolivia.
If you're from Bolivia,
oh, wow.
please forgive us.
Wow. It was way off.
I believe it's near Argentina, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in South America. Wow. I must have been thinking of was I thinking of Bulgaria? I forget. I'm very sorry.
I'm not a geography major, but I am though a biblical major, and that means our next segment is the Bible.
Well, hold on.
Edition.
Before we move on. Do you know what the Bolivia flag looks like, Shaner?
No.
So in the middle, I think. I'm trying to think what's in the middle. I know, I'll just tell you the colors. It's red, yellow, and green.
We could work with that.
Yeah, we already have one of those colors. We just have to change our black to red and throw in some yellow and call it a day. There
So
we go.
Bolivia,
See?
if you're out there, we're ready.
We are ready for you, Bolivia. All right.
So now on to the Bible Spark Notes edition, where I've prepared 2 excellent stories for you.
Not one,
But
like we
2.
usually do. 2.
Now-
Shaner's treating us today.
Eddie, you know the feeling of being hangry, don't you?
The feeling of what?
Hangriness. You're hungry and you get angry, and it
Listen.
combines, and you snap at something or
People
someone.
who know me know all too well that I am very susceptible to hangriness. If I
You
don't
know
have
who
my
else
2
was
meals a day, I
susceptible?
get angry. Sorry, what?
You know who else was susceptible to hangriness?
Wait. Moses.
Apparently Jesus.
Nah, what?
Now let me read you this story. This comes to us courtesy of Mark, chapter 11, verses 11 through 14.
Look at this man dropping the specific verses. There you go.
You can look this up if you don't believe me.
What edition are you reading from? Or
From the
sorry,
NASB.
You're prepared this week. All right, there we go. Sorry,
I
continue.
personally love the NASB.
Okay, I don't think I've ever read from that one.
It's one of my. It's what I grew up reading.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry, continue.
Now the verse goes, Jesus entered Jerusalem and came looking into the temple. And after looking around at everything, he left for Bethany with the 12. That means the 12 disciples. Since it was already late. On the next day, when they had left Bethany, he became hungry. Seeing at a distance a fig tree in leaf, he wanted to see if perhaps he would find anything on it. And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it was not in the season for figs. And he said to it, this is a direct quote from Jesus, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again." He cursed the tree because it did not give him any figs.
Was that a I guess that is
He
a
was
angry
angry
move.
at the tree and he was hungry. He wanted figs and the tree didn't have any figs, so he cursed the tree itself.
That's I never thought of that passage like that before. I mean, I get like being I never thought I was being hangry. Like I knew he was angry at the tree, and I guess he wanted to use it as like a crap. I don't want to say a parable, but like a double meaning type thing. But
It says right here, he became hungry. Then he goes up the tree and he yells at it. That's not what hangriness, says to me.
I mean, yeah,
But can you imagine?
that's crazy.
The 12 disciples are following Jesus, and it says afterwards, and his disciples were listening. So you can imagine, you're Peter or John, and you're walking along, and here's Jesus, the man, you're following. All of a sudden, he runs up to a tree, and he doesn't see any figs, and you hear Jesus yell, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again." What would be your reaction?
That's equivalent of me like going to Walmart, saying they don't have any bacon, and being like, "I'm never returning because you guys didn't have bacon," and then running
Except
away.
you're yelling at the building or the shelf and not the people. He didn't yell at the people who, maybe tended the tree if it
That's
was in
true.
the garden.
That's very true.
He yelled at the tree, so you'd yell at the shelf. "You stupid shelf, may no one buy bacon off you again."
Or the company as a whole. Though I guess that would be Mother Earth. And that, not Mother Earth. Not Mother Earth. My bad. That came out wrong. nature in general, I guess, would be the equivalent to the Walmart scenario. So
He's just yelling
yeah,
at
no,
the
never
tree.
mind.
So,
Yeah,
you
we're
know,
gonna
curse
talk
the
to the
shelf
shelf.
for not providing
Alright.
you bacon.
That's. I never thought of that as hangry. That's
Now you
great. Sorry,
do.
that just blew my mind. I just didn't think about that.
Now the next one comes courtesy us of 2 Kings 2.
Okay.
Now this one, I don't think you're prepared for at all.
Is this the
gets
one where
really
they get
good.
mauled by bears?
It is.
Okay,
Good job.
I've heard
You're-
about that. That's like the typical. And sorry, I don't mean to shame
No,
you here,
go
but that's like from what I've seen, that's like the typical. The Bible is full of gore and stuff. Is the mauled by bear scene? King 2, Second Kings. But I
It's
haven't
not
heard in a
just
while.
the
though.
bears. It's what happens before that really gets.
Oh, before. Okay, I haven't heard the passage in a while, so I'm glad you brought
All right.
this up. Keep going.
Now this is in 2 Kings 2, verse 19. And it says, Then the men of the city said to Elisha, not Elijah, Elisha, S-H. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, they said, they're talking about the city, and he
Which
leaves.
one?
the-
Hold on, back. Which one's Elisha? I forget.
That's not important. He's a prophet, probably.
He's a prophet.
What's
Okay.
important here is not who this is, but rather what happens
Okay.
to
Okay.
him.
Sorry. Continue.
Now, he leaves the city he was in after a whole big thing happens, and it says, Then he went up from there to Bethel, which is another city.
Bethel.
And he was going up by the way, young lads came out from the city and mocked him and said to him, ready for this? Go up, you bald head. Go up, you bald head. When he looked behind him and saw them, he cursed them in the name of the Lord. Then 2 female bears came out of the woods and tore out 42 lads of their number. So here you are, Elisha. You're walking up to this another city, and these people just jump out of the woods, and they're like, Hey, Baldy, you're bald. I mean, they're just being rude. Do you think mauling by bears was a good response? I mean,
Well, the go up thing has something to do with that. I used to know what that like translated to in like insult measures in their language, but I don't remember what it is now. Do you remember?
no. I just know it's funny to read, Go up, you bald head. Go up, you bald head.
Maybe they were like I don't know. I don't know what they meant there.
I think it maybe means something like go away. Like they're saying, go up, get out of here.
Oh, okay, fair enough. All right.
If you're out there and you are an Old Testament expert, let us know what go up, you bald head means.
Yeah.
Because we're not quite sure.
Shane, you're disappointing me. You're supposed to know these things.
The Old Testament is not my specialty.
It's okay. I can barely work this radio station, so we'll work at it together. That's fine then. All right.
So yeah, so then his response to that is to curse them. Now, he curses them in the name of the Lord and 2 female bears. It's interesting to note they're female bears. It doesn't add anything to the story. It's just weird they include that.
Yeah, that is
It could have just been 2 bears, but the 2 bears come out and they maul 42 people. 42 lads, it says.
That's a lot of lads.
I mean, the last thing they ever did was mock a guy for having a bald head. That's an important
Why
lesson
were
to everyone
40
out there.
Why were 42 kids hanging around?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if I'm
that?
walking around on campus and I'm bald, and like 42 kids just popped out of nowhere and started going, "Ha, you're bald, go away." It'd be a little weird.
But like, what was the reason for them getting together originally? Like, you just
Maybe they were already there. Maybe they were just hanging out. You know, they're just buds and they're hanging out, and all of a sudden you see this bald guy just
That-
walking up the path, and
that's
I
the
don't
largest hangout session I've ever heard of.
right. Well,
that's not a drunken party at West Virginia. Sorry, West Virginia University, not the state. But,
so yeah, you know, and then just 2 bears come out of the woods and maul them.
I wonder why they were
What's-
just female. I wonder if that matters at all.
I don't know bear biology either. Again, I'm just a BMS
What do you
major.
mean biology, they're female.
I don't know about if female bears are more aggressive. If you're out there and you know about female bears, are they more aggressive?
Well, I know they're like protective of their young, but this is like the opposite.
Yeah, they're going up and they're tearing up other people's youngs.
Yeah, I don't.
Can you imagine being Elisha in this situation? Like, he didn't ask for bears. He just cursed them in the name of the Lord. Can you imagine you're standing there and you're already feeling a bit down? I mean, these people come up and mock you for some obvious feature of you. It's like, pick your most feature you think is just the worst about you, and these 42 kids come out of nowhere and
Yeah.
start mocking you for it. And you're like, that's it, curse you in the name of the Lord. And you don't know what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, just 2 bears come out of nowhere and just maul them, rip them apart.
Mm-hmm. Now hold on.
And it doesn't say what happened. He just says he went from there to Mount Carmel, and from there he returned to Samaria. Like, he just goes on his way.
Yeah. So that
He's
happens.
like, oh, cool, okay.
I wonder if he looted the bodies like a true gamer. Sorry,
Probably too
that's awful.
scared. I mean, if I saw a bear maul 42 bears maul 42 people, I think I'd get out of there.
Yeah.
Maybe do you think he felt bad?
I mean, he just
Like, I don't
cursed
think he
them.
liked them, but I
Yeah.
don't think his plan was for them to get mauled by bears. Not to question the Lord's plan. I'm sure he had a good reason, but if I were Elisha, like,
Mhm.
I'd feel a little guilty.
No, wait. By cursing, was he like, "Oh, I hope you were never born," and then that summoned the bears? And he, I guess my question is, did he do it intentionally?
I think
or
he just
unintentional.
cursed them, like, it was kind of like an insult, maybe. Like, I don't know if he meant physical death to them, but even if he did, like, there's a difference, I think, between just being struck down dead and being mauled by bears.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would feel a little guilty after that.
I mean,
Maybe he was being taught a lesson about cursing people.
well, maybe it's
Like, it's kind of like,
That's
hey, this is
interesting.
what happens when you curse people. They get mauled by
Maybe.
bears.
I was gonna ask something about it. Not to get too deep here, but like cursing is exactly a good thing. So like, was that Elijah sinning? Question mark.
Maybe this was God's way of teaching him a lesson. Like, hey, if you curse people, this is what happens. There are consequences. I don't know. Maybe this needs further study.
This might need further study. We'll have a section called Beyond the Spark Notes, the Bible
Beyond the
Spark,
Spark
Notes.
Tune in next week to hear me explain why they were mauled by two bears.
That's a question for Josh Sumter.
Yes, Josh Sumter, if you're listening, let us know why they were mauled by two bears. If there's any historical significance to that, maybe bears meant something to the Jewish tradition. That's I say the problem. That's the
The crux of the issue.
no, it's more like the issue with studying the Bible is there's so much history you don't know about just from reading the Bible.
Yeah, you have to like get all the back.
Like the bears might mean something completely new and you'd have no idea. So you have to
Yeah.
kind of dig into the Hebrew faith there and kind of figure out, was cursing a big thing for them, or was this
Mhm.
kind of something everyone did? Was it only allowed by certain people? There's a lot of the history of dig into, even in the New Testament. Like, you can't just study the Bible as just the Bible. You kind of have to know the context sometimes and the history. And not always easy to do.
You know what? I didn't know there were even bears in like the Israel area
It's one of those things, yeah, you don't
until
think
I heard
about.
that passage. I was like, huh.
Yeah, it's kind of like those passages where the people are celebrating and it says they celebrate by eating like watermelons and grapes. And you're kind of like, oh, they had watermelons?
Mm-hmm.
I'll find that passage for next week. But it says they were celebrating and these people are eating like all these fruits that you wouldn't, like cantaloupes and
Right.
all this weird stuff. And you don't usually think about it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm guessing it's like their own like, I don't say version of it, but like, you know, those type of things adapted to their region
Yeah.
type of thing. So, yeah, we might have to expound on that next week. Hey, do you want us to expound on that next week? Let us know.
Let us know if you'd like to hear more about bear mauling
Yep.
because I will dig into the bear mauling if you wish.
We could have spent a whole segment just on this topic.
That's
We
going to
would
be a
have
whole
done a
new
little
segment.
research.
Bear mauling.
Bear mauling.
That's what the segment's called.
Yeah, that'll be like all the bear memes and then just like all incidents involving bears. And we'll educate you all on how to survive
If you'd like to hear more about
in
bears.
case of bears. Man, we're really like we're really devolving from the subject.
Now, speaking of animals, murdering people. I'd say that's a good segment into our next section.
Oh, that is you. Look at you,
discussing
Shaner.
the
Yeah.
12-foot terror of
Oh.
moose.
Moose, yes. Now, I have a friend that used to live in Alaska. Shout out to Allie Barker. Do you know Allie Barker?
I do.
Shout out to Allie Barker. And apparently moose are a pretty terrifying thing, which I had no idea about.
We should state this is the section of the show where we review terrible movies.
Hold on, I'm getting there. Yeah. So, I poked the mic. Sorry. So, yeah. So this leads into our section. They're called B movies for a reason. And this week's movie is called Moose, the movie. Now, this movie is there's a trailer for it, so you can go see the trailer for this if you're interested. But this trailer was made by written by a group of brothers from Alaska that wanted to try their hands at a movie. Okay, and it was also based off a comic series that they wrote called Tundra. So these guys were trying. They
I think for what they tried, they did really well.
It. I don't.
I think we have to distinguish. Like, if you were here for our last review of Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter,
Which, if you weren't, you really missed an episode.
You
Like
did.
that. That was a section that I don't think we're ever gonna top a movie like that.
so I think you have to distinguish here. That kind of a B movie was different than this kind of a B movie. Like, that was a poorly made B movie, but you loved it because it was poorly made.
Yes.
I would say this one you loved because it was entertaining. I wouldn't necessarily call this poorly made. I'd say for what they were, they did a great job.
I could see that. Now, before we get into like our we're already diving into like final thoughts here, but just for a comparison later, or for now, Jesus Christ Vampire Hunters, which I would recommend overall. Don't take your easily offended friend with you to watch it. That was made in 2003. This is made in 2017. All right,
That's
so
true.
there's like a 15-year gap there. So just expect differences there because of years. But anyways, so the whole premise of the show is a new park ranger showing up to the town. Oh shoot, what was it?
Gangrene Gulch.
Yes, Gangrene Gulch in Alaska. Very, very, very small town. And he moves there to become the new park ranger. And as you can imagine, since it's a small town, there's like one park ranger and then their assistant. And the other guy, I think, what happened to the previous dude? He like died or something?
Yeah, no, he was injured, just badly injured.
Oh, yeah, by the receptionist. Which, the receptionist, yeah. Memorable character. But we'll get into that later. Sorry. So, Zach comes. He's the new park ranger. He comes, and part of the movie is about him like getting used to this town because there's a lot of weird things in this town, which we'll get into a little bit of that. No spoilers, but we'll get into it. And as he's learning, and a little before the time that he shows up, or like around the time he shows up, these two group of random hunters, they unleash. You ready for this name? The Moosator.
The Moosator, an ancient legend.
Ancient Alaskan legends. It's literally a moose, like head of moose, and then like body of a man. Think Minotaur, except with the moose. Pretty much the same thing. And they woke at this Moosator, and it is now rampaging the land and the village around it. Because there's a legend with the Moosator. I won't get into it much, but there's a legend. This is a very vicious beast that like ravaged the natives. Okay, so. So that happens, and they kill the Moosator kills the two people that woke up, and the mission for Zach and his assistant, well, I won't say assistant, but a supporting character to him, Samantha. Those two had to figure out, well, what's causing all of this, and how do we stop it? Because first they don't know it's the Moosator. So I think that's the premise of the movie. Anything to add to the story?
What would you describe the genre of this as? Mystery. Well, I wouldn't call it mystery because who's doing the killing.
Here's the main issue with this movie. So it is described by Amazon Prime, which you can find this on Amazon Prime. If I didn't mention that before, you can describe it. It's described as an action horror, which it does have some horror-ish themes. It has some scary parts, I guess, if you can call it scary. But there's a lot of comedy.
There is.
There's a lot of comedy. And I feel like, and I haven't read the Tundra comics, but I feel like they took a comic that was primarily like a mesh of like comedy, action, child horror type thing, and then converted it to a movie.
I could see that. It felt like I was.
And they treated it too much like an adult film, but kept the parts of the comic, so it just felt like a mesh of the two.
Now that you say that, it did
the
feel like I
writing.
was watching a Sunday morning comic,
Yeah.
which I can appreciate.
It was
It explains a lot, actually, when you think about it.
It does. It explains a lot with the yeah. It explains a lot. Which
Now, there are different things you can expect in this movie, I think we can say, and one of those is memorable characters.
yeah, I think this movie, like, you always have problems like movies, like take Marvel for instance. They have great supporting characters, but their villain always is somewhat weak. Not most of the time, not always. Thanos was great, but the villains tend to be weak. Other movies, like let's just go DC, their supporting characters aren't always that good, and they don't always flash out.
We're looking at you,
This-
Suicide Squad.
The second one's coming out. I'm actually interested. I have not seen the first one, which I don't know if I should before I see the new one, because I just want to see Nathan Fillion and Pete Davidson.
Let it be known we love Nathan Fillion on this show.
Oh, Nathan Fillion's.
If you ever wanted to make a guest appearance, in a heartbeat,
Oh.
Nathan Fillion, if you're somehow listening to this, we love you.
You can,
Anyways.
you can buy our show and we'll do whatever you want us. Well, maybe not whatever, but we'll do it. We'll do almost anything for you.
Anyways, Moose.
Yes, Moose. So, crap. Where was I? Oh, yes. All the characters, or at least, yeah, all the characters in this movie are memorable.
They're memorable and they're fun too. Like I don't recall a single character where I was like, "Why are you on this screen?"
Or maybe not
What do
even
you
fun. They're
offer?
just they invoked emotion and like I remembered them and it wasn't like, oh, it's this guy again. Or if it was that, it was a character that's supposed to be like, ugh, it's this guy.
Yeah, like
Like-
every character I had fun watching.
Yeah.
Every character had their own personality. There was no B-roll character almost. Like even in the crowd shots, there was still a variety of characters, and you knew each one and their personality, even from like 5 seconds of screen time. I
Mhm.
think in the town hall scene, if you remember,
I do
there was
remember
a
the top
big
one.
crowd, but even in that big crowd, you could identify who was who easily.
Yeah. It was surprising well done in that manner. It was crazy.
There's something modern movies could take a lesson from. Make your characters memorable. Give them a personality. Let us enjoy even the minor characters.
And like make them memorable. Don't make them like average. Like not even the main okay.
Like even if they're just
Yeah.
citizens, they don't have to be just people, you know? Like this movie
Yeah.
is full of just citizens, but each of them was unique enough. Even if you don't know their names, you remember them.
Yes.
So that's one thing this movie did really well.
That's the best thing this movie did.
I-
by far.
I think
the
another
best
thing that the movie did really well was its shooting photography was really good actually.
Okay. Well,
Not the editing, just the shots themselves were done spectacularly well.
this was shot in Alaska, and so Alaska, if you don't know, is full of beautiful scenery. So it's almost hard to not get a beautiful
Well, I mean, if
shot.
I took the same shot on my iPhone, it probably wouldn't look the same. But you can tell they put a little bit of their budget. They took it out. They took the budget work out of the script and put it into the camera. I would say. 'Cause
Oh, you mean like the actual like?
the actual photography.
Oh, I thought you were like, talking like framing and how they framed things.
No, just the actual how
Oh.
the camera work looked.
Oh yeah, it was like high quality camera work. Like this was not like
Now,
cheap in any means of the imagination.
That changed sometimes. Like, there's some really good scenery shots, and the next thing you know, the camera work is not that great. Like scenes in the sheriff's
Yeah.
office were just okay, but when compared to something like Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter or Velocipaster, it was actually really good. To the point where we almost questioned whether or not this was a B movie.
Yeah, let's segue into the next point. The first like, what'd you say, like 10 minutes?
Something like that.
10, 15 minutes? This looks like a legit film. Like it doesn't look like a B movie at all.
The only clue you get is from the acting, I would say. Especially in that
Yeah.
first scene, no spoilers, the two paintball players, their acting wasn't great. And you kind of got the sense that this was heading towards a B movie plot. But in terms of the camera work and the music and everything,
Mm-hmm.
it
In the intro,
didn't feel like a B movie.
yeah, in the intro is a bit different, which we joke that's what they spent their entire budget on. I won't spoil what it is, but yeah, that intro and the first like couple minutes of the actual movie going along, it does not feel like a B movie at all.
Now, speaking of music, the other thing this movie couldn't quite agree on was its musical cues. You'd be having, a chase scene, a very dangerous scene, but the music felt like something just out of like Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make any sense, but it was good music. It just didn't fit.
And then the music actually shined. Like there's like a particular piece of music that they kept reusing over and over again. That sounded like the Shrine, like the theme music for the Shire. Did I say the Shrine? Gosh,
did.
Yes, the Shire, the Hobbit Shire. So
But I felt like it was good music. It just didn't fit. Like it wasn't bad music. Like some B movies, just you can tell they're using budget music from the
Yes.
internet. This actually felt like some work went into the music. Not much.
It did.
But just enough.
Oh yeah, it's just weird placing. Like everyone just got mauled by the Moosator, and then it's like, oh, happy Shire music, ah da 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 da, whatever it is.
Now,
So yeah,
segue into the Moosatar.
Moosator.
For a movie with very little special effects, the Moosatar I felt was done really well. Like I saw it and I was kind of intimidated.
Wait,
by
hold
it.
on. There were special effects in this movie.
Practical effects. Let's go with that.
Actually, I lied. I think there was like I don't know if you noticed in the one scene with the hippies, but there was like a dust poof. That definitely wasn't natural.
Yeah, there are some special effects in this movie.
Little hints here
But the
and there.
Moosatar was practical effects, and for what it was done spectacularly well. I felt like it was a good villain. Like, it could have been so much worse. Like, look at the dinosaur from Velocipaster.
Oh, it could have been a lot worse.
That's an
Yeah.
example of practical effects done wrong, but in a good way. I mean, no one's going to argue that they don't love the dinosaur from Velocipaster.
It's that was such a disappointment,
But the
but it was
Moosetar-
funny to see.
I loved their design. We agree to disagree on this. I love the design of the Moosetar.
I think it
felt-
depends on what you mean by love, cause like, okay, it wasn't horrible to look at. Like they didn't just stick like an actual moose head on top of this dude and went with it. It was like a plastic replica.
It looked like a real moose head.
I mean, it looked like a real moose head, but it definitely was not a moose head.
I hope not.
Yeah, because they had like modeled because there's like it has like sharp front teeth and stuff. So, it just looks kind of cartoonish.
I felt they pulled it off really well to the point where like I could see it being in an actual not B movie.
I disagree. There's no way
think
they
we
would
agree to
CGI the
disagree on
crap
this.
out of that thing and go with it.
I loved the way they did the Moosetar, and you'll have to watch it to see what we mean.
Yeah, with the decent, not decent, with the meager budget I'm sure they had, they made it look presentable. And I think another part of this movie, which actually segued to the next part, was that it realized its own ridiculousness in
Yeah,
certain
it didn't
fashion.
try to-
like,
It didn't try to take away from that. Like, it didn't try to act like something it wasn't.
yeah, like it made note of like ridiculous things that were happening, and like the Moosetar, for instance, he's kind of wearing like I thought it was like a night robe.
Look out! Just imagine Gandalf's robes from the Lord of the Rings movies, but torn up.
Yes, brown and torn up.
Like
That-
if Gandalf had run through a thorn bush, that's what these looked like, and then fallen in some dirt.
Yeah, I think that's a good description. But it makes note of that. Like, why is this dude wearing? I forget how did they describe it.
Hobo clothes.
Yeah, why is this guy the Minotaur wearing hobo clothes? Like, it makes note of these things. So, I appreciated that because most B movies would just ignore that.
There are several things in this movie. I won't spoil them for you. But there are several things that just catch you off guard, but you don't hate enough to stop watching.
It's
You're
almost,
entertained.
it's almost endearing. A
It
little,
is.
a little bit.
I feel like the only thing I didn't like about this movie was that it felt like it dragged on.
It did. It's an hour and 40-minute film.
Yeah, I felt like
But
we were
it
sitting there
felt
for
like
3 hours.
2.5 hours,
Yeah,
3
it
hours.
was. It drags on, but for what it did, it didn't. I wasn't bored,
Yeah, it had a slow tempo. And it felt longer than it is, but it had a slow tempo.
but it filled up that slow tempo with a lot of entertainment.
It did. It did. And I don't know. Were you ever bored watching it?
I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
I think there was enough entertainment to keep me stimulated enough.
I would agree with that.
As for acting, the one thing this other movie does not boast is acting. The acting was subpar at best. These people weren't hired because they're
No.
professional actors.
Definitely. Well, maybe the main character. I feel like you could try.
No, the only one I would
Samantha.
say I would support as like he was a decent actor in this was the head sheriff.
You mean
And
the
whoever
head park
played the
ranger?
Moosetar.
I mean the park ranger?
Yes, the head park
Yes.
ranger, Nick.
Yes.
He was the only one I would say could be. I would see him in something else and like it.
See, I think it's more of a writing director thing than an acting thing. Because I thought, I mean, there's definitely bad acting and like subpar acting throughout it, but like the direction of film that made it like awkward in parts was more because of what they were told to do, I believe, rather than how they did it. Because I feel like in some parts they did things in which they were no, how do I put this? They did things well, but it didn't seem like the right thing to do, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
In that situation. So, and which is why I returned, like, it feels like a child comic turned into a live action film that keeps too much of the children's side in.
Right. That's the best way to approach this.
But it's
film, I
obviously
think,
not a children's film.
Is if you've seen something like maybe the Garfield live action Garfield movies or something like that,
Maybe.
where it feels like you're watching a Sunday morning comic
Mhm.
from the newspaper put onto the screen. That's the best way to describe it. In every element of this film,
Yeah.
it feels like a Sunday morning newspaper comic brought to life.
Okay, 2 more points before we move on because we're getting close to our close time. One, the coloring of this film. They use a lot of color grading in this film, and I won't.
It makes a point. It's not just there to
Yes,
be there.
they do it for a reason, but it's just oftentimes it was way too much, and it just aggravated me like halfway through the film.
It didn't bother me as much. I could deal with it, but that's not my forte. So
I guess.
I guess it's similar to me watching a biblical movie and tearing it apart for its accuracy, I guess is the comparison.
I guess maybe like their color grading was to make up for the lack of graphics, and you could tell that's what they were trying to do.
I think it tied in enough where it was useful.
Yeah, but then they would like color grade scenes and make such a drastic shift from each other. It was like, what? How did this happen?
Well, another point we
Like-
have to agree disagree on. I think the color grading made enough of a point to stick around.
Oh, I get why they did it. And I thought it was clever. It was just kind of sucky how they did it.
That's fair.
So, anyways, so there's actually an end scene, a credit scene in this movie. Yeah, you actually left, like, it happened like a couple minutes after you left. But I kind of scrolled. It's not like a huge thing, but there is like an end scene, so just look out for that after the after like initial credits. So I'll actually show you. It's pretty short. It's not serious, but
All right. Well, I think we should start wrapping up now. We've got less than a minute left, but thank you for listening. If you're listening to this on YouTube, head over
Yes.
to the Facebook page and
Thank
interact.
you. Yes, and Instagram, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you for everyone who is listening live. I don't know who you are or where you are, but if you are, thank you very much. We really love doing the show, and it's a lot of fun. And we appreciate you coming and spending this hour with us. Sherner, how should we end this episode? Do you know "Hooked by a Feeling" by the Blue Swedes? I think that's their name.
I do.
Should we end with that?
It's probably copyrighted.
Not if we sing it. That's like it falls under parody law.
This week's episode, Parody Law.
Parody law.
Be safe. Don't do drugs. Do books.
Do books?
Do books.
What if I can't snort books? I
And
can
with
snort
that-
onto books, but I can't.
Good night, everybody.
Okay, good night.